way up and make it real for yourself.
What's that now? You gotta make it what?
For yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Yo, mic check. Mic check.
Mic is normal here.
Very good.
Hey, can you fuckers in chat hear me, please? Let me hear it from the Ape family. Give me a yes or no. Can you
Yeah,
fucking hear
man.
me? All right,
Yeah,
good deal.
that do.
Thanks,
Yes.
brother. Appreciate you.
Yep.
Loud and clear.
Thanks for sharing the link, guys. I appreciate that. Am I hearing my voice in the background? What is going on here? Maybe. Sorry about that. I did, yeah. The YouTube was open from my channel when I was getting the stream going. Sorry about that, guys. That's obnoxious. It really irritates me. I really feel for the Ukrainian people and the Russians on both sides. It really pains me how the Russians, although they are the quote unquote invaders here, that they're being seen and painted as the bad guys repeatedly by American and European special interests. It's almost as if they completely forgot that Biden pretty much I'm sorry, should I say Obama and Biden, was it, back in 2014? Pretty much overthrew the fucking presidency of Ukraine and installed their own regime, just like they've done in many other places. Venezuela, ring a bell?
And
Iran, Afghanistan, and look at how well that turned out.
Cuba.
Oh shit, it's almost as if this is a pattern, huh? A long recurring pattern. Let's take a look. Mic check. Yeah, I can turn myself up a little bit higher. No, don't forget to like. I think the American government said, more so the Biden administration and people who have a vested interest in keeping Zelensky as president and Ukraine as America's little pool of corruption, money laundering capital of the world. Yo, thanks, Ashraf. Appreciate you very much, man. I thought you had a question, but no, thanks so much for the contribution. Appreciate you very much, brother. Thanks everybody for the feedback. I'm glad that the sound's working all right. People keep asking when the market will crash. Like, come on, guys. We already saw what happened. The market's crashed multiple times. We've already saw the plunge protection team jump in on this. I mean, am I right or am I right? How many times they got to sell $50 billion worth of puts as unnamed buyers in order for people to understand what's happening? U.S. allies are coordinating to freeze Russian oligarchs' assets. At this time, a 40-mile-long convoy is on its way to Kiev, about 20 kilometers out. 40 miles. That is ridiculous. Again, 40 miles. If you live in Chicago, that stretches all the way to fucking St. Charles. Think about that. Appreciate you, Moises. Much love, brother. Ape fam, thank you. It's this. We're kind of looking at. Did you guys see that China's already got an alternative to the SWIFT system, the CIPRA, I believe it's called? Russia is in a hurry to implement a first world coin. You know, what the fuck do you guys think of that? Do you think he's just trying to fucking get the squeeze, get the, you know, first, be the first one kind of to beat America to the punch to come out with a world crypto coin, world currency?
Maybe, but more so to avoid the SWIFT and not be relying on it.
Do you think that the cryptocurrency pump that we're seeing right now is related to the majority of Russians and billionaires moving their money out of the ruble and into cryptocurrency?
I would think so when the ruble loses 30% one day. I would think so.
I think so as well.
Well, that and they said that the Russians they figure at about 12% is what I was reading earlier.
For those of you guys that didn't know, I'm not sure if you guys in the think tank are aware too. Russia raised their interest rates today from 9.5% to 20%. And it's not a trust me, bro. They literally more than doubled their fucking interest rate. Can you believe that shit?
That's what we need.
Yeah, it is, bro. We need something to bring these markets back down to size, because a $9 trillion Federal Reserve balance sheet propping up the stock market and the daily use of reverse repurchase being nearly $2 trillion, it is not doing anybody any favors except for the rich bankers and the prime brokers. Imagine if Putin is long on AMC. What do you guys think? Think Putin's got AMC?
That's awesome.
I'd love it if he did. Australia pledges $75 million to Ukraine, $50 million for defense, and $25 million for humanitarian aid. No, it's tragic. I want everybody to know that this isn't something we're cheering for. It's something that's happening that's out of our control. And we're just trying to keep our finger on the pulse, per se, to understand what's going on and how this is going to affect the world globally, financial systems, and the stock market inevitably. Ashraf says it's a run on the U.S. dollar as the currency of choice. China, India, Russia, Middle East will squeeze the dollar further, collapsing the broke Fed. At this point, there's a lot of possibilities, my friend. A lot of possibilities. Viv, we're in the mods only chat right now. Appreciate you, though. Much love. China Commerce Minister Wang, the country must do everything it can to boost consumer spending. You guys think that China's going to take advantage of this situation to slide into Taiwan's direct messages or something?
But they already did that.
Good deal. Poison control centers warn about toxic chemicals in the at-home COVID-19 test kits. Okay, so is it not enough that COVID-19 is already has been rampant, is forgotten about on the news, and at this point there are tons of people coming out with vaccine side effect injuries and deaths? Even the fucking COVID at-home test kits are poisonous? Are you fucking kidding me at this point? Tell me this is some sort of bad joke or something, you know? The fuck? I'm gonna bring a few folks in here. I am gonna server mute you guys, but I will server mute you. I will unmute you shortly. Some at-home rapid COVID-19 test kit contain a toxic chemical that may be harmful to both children and adults, according to health officials. Unfucking believable. Cincinnati Drug and Poison Information Center reported an uptick in accidental exposures to a possibly toxic substance in at-home COVID-19 test kits. Many rapid antigen kits include the chemical sodium azide as a preservative agent. Hey, Cash, what do you know about this sodium azide shit? What is this shit used for?
Really good.
I mean, figured you have a lot of biochem experience. I just thought I'd ask you. And it's a colorless, odorless powder that testers dip cotton swabs into. The chemical is found in herbicides, pest control agents, and airbags for cars. You gotta be fucking kidding me. That's disgusting. That's disgusting. I can't even believe what I'm hearing, dude. Colorless, odorless powder. So you can't even tell if you're working with it or if it's in the test kit that you've got. It's colorless, it's odorless, and you're swabbing. Sorry, repeat that, dude?
Sorry. I just said it's probably not helpful that they make you get a test like weekly at some.
And not only that, but if you want to test yourself at home because you don't want to, expose yourself to, COVID potentially, going to get a test at your drive-through or at your local testing center, and you think you're safe at home with these COVID tests, and you're literally poisoning yourself even more, even though you might not have fucking COVID. Pantheon tells us sodium azide is used for pest control on farms. It's one of the many reasons why you're supposed to wash your fruits and vegetables. Jesus Christ. What a fucking mess. Well, I'm going to roll one and smoke one of that, man. Smoke them if you got them. Drink them if you got them. Cheers, boys and girls. My little one's crying in the background. Apologies, but she's waiting on her bottle. They're working on it. Proclin is also found in many kits. It contains chemicals that can cause skin and eye irritation and allergic reactions. Hospitals around the United States say they've received a surge in phone calls about exposure to the chemical. We started getting our first exposures to these test kits around early November. It was really all ages. Oh, jeez. Accidental exposure is occurring among both children and adults. People might mistake them for eye drops. Children might drop them onto their skin. Adults will sometimes mistakenly put them into their eyes, she said. I'm not laughing at people that did that, but fuck, that sucks. So if you've ever been in contact with those test kits, the what you think might be this solution, this odorless, colorless powder, it's probably a best idea to wear gloves, don't inhale it, and throw the shit out when you're done with it. Especially so nobody accidentally puts them in their eyes or a kid doesn't actually drink them. Yeah, use them properly, dispose of them properly, and it won't cause an issue. Unfortunately, too many people don't do that. That's a fucking joke, though. They can't create these kits for our safety without fucking causing serious health issues. Cole, what do you think about XRP? Thanks so much, brother. Hey, Cash, why don't you tell me what you think about XRP, brother?
Well, I'm really suspect is the old banker going.
Can you explain a little bit more?
The founder is a banker, and they've been trying to integrate and replace Swift.
So the bankers are trying to integrate XRP to replace the SWIFT systems, basically to make it the government coin.
That's their dream.
You think the government might catch on board and actually make the government coin run off, XRP or something, or some sort of XRP fork type thing, or
I don't think the Federal Reserve is going to give XRP the key to the kingdom.
Thanks, brother. I wanted to get your input on that. And how do you feel about it in the short term and in the long term as far as price? You think?
You can make money trading it, but in the long run, I would hold other crypto.
Yep, I like that idea. And this is not financial advice. It's for entertainment purposes only. Yeah, thanks so much, brother. That's a really great point. Too many people don't know about the realities of XRP. There's some kind of shady shit going on there. Yeah, I think people need to know more about this toxic chemicals and these freaking at-home kits, man. That's disgusting. Another recent development: internet connectivity has collapsed in the Luhansk area of Ukraine. Friends and family report no contact with loved ones in recent hours. It's a fucking shame, huh? People are all kind of super happy that Starlink has been enabled in Ukraine, but you've got to have special equipment for it. Cash, don't you have that shit?
Yeah, I'm on Starlink right now.
I'm assuming you got to have some sort of a router and a satellite dish, right? You can't just fucking log into it.
Man, you need special equipment.
Exactly. So that's why I don't understand why so many people are, sucking Elon's dick because he's giving Starlink to Ukraine. I mean, that's great and all for, the fucking 0.1% that are going to get some fucking satellites, but for the majority of people, the 99.9% of Ukraine, that doesn't do dick for them. White House tells federal agencies they do not need to require masks for federal employees. Surprise, surprise. COVID's over, apparently. One thing I did want to show you guys? Where the hell's that video? You guys need to see this. I think it's really important. Damn, I hope I didn't clear it out. Yep, I sure did clear it. Don't remember who posted it, but I'd be really happy if I could find it. It's directly from a guy that lives in Ukraine. And his take on the whole situation is pretty amazing. That's not that guy. Nice. As you can see, people in the Discord and the think tank are doing their part, stacking up ounces of silver and gold and other precious metals. I think that's a beautiful thing. Refrigerator. That's bogus. She's kind of hot, though. And for those of you that don't know, Citadel Securities lost over $470 million fucking dollars in withdrawals from customers in 2021 as of February 25th report. So you guys could laugh at fucking Ken Griffin all you want. Their assets to liabilities are 1-to-1. Citadel Securities has $33 billion in assets and $34 billion in liabilities and a shitload of unclosed short positions. Why do you think Citadel had to sell some of their positions? Citadel had no choice but to sell some of their, not positions, but to sell some of their companies. Period. Period. He had to keep Citadel afloat, and in order to do so, to prevent margin calls, had to sell a portion of Citadel Securities. I'd say retail is kicking the shit out of Ken Griffin and his shitty short positions, naked shorts, and synthetic shares. The stock price is not real on AMC, GameStop, and a shitload of other short meme stock baskets. That's their statement of financial condition. For Citadel Securities, here we go. Okay, I'm sorry, they've got $79 billion in assets and $79 billion in liabilities, as well as $65 billion worth of securities sold, not yet purchased at fair value. So security sold, not yet purchased at fair value is a short position. It's a short position. So this $65 billion, because this table is expressed in millions, so 65,000 millions, that's $65 billion, is in short positions that still have to be bought to close, right? And when that happens, the meme stocks are not going to maintain their current price, and they're not going to get to buy AMC, GameStop, MMAT, Progenity, Cost, Express, BBIG, and the list goes on for 100 more fucking meme stocks, and ending up getting them for $65 billion. It's probably going to be 10 times that amount. I think Citadel is royally fucked. And Ken Griffin, I want my fucking money. I'll wait. I'll wait as long as it takes. Yo, that's right, Lakeside Trader. Not yet purchased. Pantheon says, and this is only what they reported themselves. Can you imagine everything they didn't report? Can you imagine all the shorts marked as long? The married puts, the divorced puts, the synthetics, the naked shorts in the billions, tens of billions, if not more, across their entire portfolio? Probably hundreds of billions. Jesus Christ. Ken Griffin is fucked. I hope the Department of Justice nails his ass. Roman Baskin, if you're in a meeting and you're listening to me, you need to tell those people they need to fucking listen to this guy and learn a thing or two. Or just get high and have fun. Hey, Penny, can you chill out? I'm trying to do a live stream, baby. Thanks, girl. Dog's going hard on her fucking food bowl over there. Let's see. Massive news coming from the Russian embassy in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Russian embassy claims U.S. filled Ukraine with biolabs and are accusing the United States of producing bioweapons. Clandestine Knots, at Clandestine Knot on Twitter, gave us this the other day. And I ran you guys through it. It took about a half hour, but we went through the entire thing. The links of Hunter Biden and a bunch of other oligarchs, a bunch of other pieces of shit, I should say, that are connected to Nancy Pelosi, John Kerry, and Biden, and other people. Their sons are getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars per month for owning or having seats on boards of energy companies in Ukraine. These people know nothing about energy. They know nothing about companies or business. They're career politicians. And they're getting...
Mitt Romney too, his children.
Mitt Romney's kids, John Kerry's, all of their children are getting shitloads of money from Ukraine for sitting on the board of energy companies. Biden was literally talking shit about how, making fun of how he got the Ukrainian prosecutor fired. I'll show you that clip in a little while, but let's finish this up. Before anyone questions the source, this is from Twitter verified CNN Southeastern European affiliate at N1Info. It's an official European news outlet reporting the Russian displeasure with U.S. biolabs in Ukraine. It's on Wikipedia, right there, N1 TV channel. So what does this mean? Big picture, it means the hypothesis that we've been talking about is correct. There's United States owns and directly funds many biolabs, such as Metabiota. You can find them on Twitter at Metabiota, who is owned financially in majority part by Hunter Biden. The Russian airstrikes in Ukraine had nothing to do with Ukraine, but rather American assets. See this? It's not about Ukraine itself, but our assets in Ukraine. It means this war is much bigger than Ukraine. It is a skirmish with the United States outside of the United States. The implications of this war and the reason that it's pissing off Biden and administration is because they make a lot of money off of these biolabs. These biolabs are also linked to the Wuhan Institute in China, where COVID was leaked from. Russians just went to war with an American proxy and disabled U.S. and NATO assets. These attacks are a direct accusation of the U.S. creating bioweapons near the Russian border. How would you feel if Russia had a shitload of biolabs creating coronaviruses, Ebola viruses, and more in Cuba or Puerto Rico? Well, let's say Cuba because Puerto Rico is part of America, you know? Or Canada, right on the border. Not northern Canada, but all right there, you know, maybe Ottawa or something like that. Not too far from New York. I don't think people would be very happy, nor would the United States. Remember with the Cuban Missile Crisis? Some people would say that I'm a Russian sympathizer. No, I just like to look at things objectively. I don't sympathize with either Russia or Ukraine. I empathize with the loss of life, and we all feel terrible that it's happening. But I don't think that people are giving Putin the credit that he deserves, in the sense that if they really wanted to, their Air Force could have carpet bombed all of Ukraine's major cities, and this would be over. But they didn't. They didn't drop the father of all bombs on all these major cities. They're attacking key locations. And unfortunately, I think, and I know they've also got a hit list from Putin. Understandably so. The United States has done the same thing. The CIA has done the same thing. Whether they talk about it publicly or not are different things, you know. Epstein, anyone? Jean-Luc, anyone? Anybody else get Clinted lately? It's a goddamn shame. Putin has been publicly vocal about this for years. It's on Newsweek.com. Vladimir Putin's advisor says U.S. is developing biological weapons near Russia. Why haven't you heard about it? Because none of the fucking mainstream media is telling you about it. It's not conspiracy. It's a fact that mainstream media is owned by hedge funds, market makers, banks, and governments. See, COVID-19 came from a lab in Wuhan. The lab and research was funded by the US NIH, the Pentagon. Putin accuses the US of creating bioweapons at his border. Putin bombs the US biolabs near his border. He's trying to prevent the US from releasing another bioweapon, the one that Bill Gates told us is coming. You remember that, Cash?
Yeah, I sure did.
Either way, Putin doesn't want the US near their border with biological research and neutralize the legitimate threat to the people. Now the bigger picture. Why has the media spun this reality as Russian disinformation? Why? Because it proves the United States created COVID-19. That's maybe a little bit of a stretch, but we have other proof that I've showed in previous videos that I can show again later if we get to it. I'm not dying to get to all that right now. They can try all they like, but all the evidence leads to the U.S. creating COVID-19, and Russia is not happy about it. You can argue it was accidental or intentional. Regardless, Russia doesn't want the biolabs. Whether it be for carelessness or malicious intent, you know. At the very least, Russia, a world superpower, is accusing the United States of creating and releasing a bioweapon and has reason to believe that we might do it again. Such as the recently created insurance plans for countries for pandemic insurance that we discussed in the last video. Think about the ramifications of that. Think about why media and Biden continue to paint Putin as a vicious dictator, although he's not bombing with airplanes and missiles as they could be. Once the cat's out of the bag, the rest of the dominoes will fall. The entire COVID-19 narrative is decimated. The reality is the United States government released a bioweapon known as COVID-19, allegedly. Folks, this isn't the beginning of World War III. The U.S. initiated it 2 years ago at a biolab in Wuhan, China. One could make the argument that it may have possibly been purposely spread in China by America in order to create infections there. It could also be stated that the Pentagon had a deal with China to create the COVID-19, and then China had the plan to release it in bats. That's the bat theory is the United States narrative at this point. Could it also be thought that maybe the Pentagon-sponsored Wuhan lab purposely started the leak in Wuhan, China? Very possible. Very possible. Although I don't have proof, and that's just a little bit of a tinfoil hat theory. But I think you've got to think out of the box and look at all the facts presented in front of you, you know. Things are too goddamn clear sometimes. $65 billion in securities not yet purchased. Oh, cool. That's exactly what we just said a little bit ago for Citadel Securities. That's impressive. Hey, I appreciate you, Sergio. Just so you know, mods, you guys are going to have a little extra work because I took everybody off the ban list because I had some people complaining that they couldn't talk in the chat. So there might be a little bit extra shillery going on over there. So that's understandable. Let people have some fun. But if they're being vulgar or anything like that, do me a favor and cut them out. I don't want any issues with YouTube. Where the fuck are we? Damn, you guys have been busy in the Discord. Holy shit, you guys are killing it in the think tank. There you go. Unmute you. Take off your server mute. Appreciate you guys. Silverback, you there? I have a question, and I'm wondering about what you think about the the U.S. oil price right here at 95 bucks a barrel. Think we're going up before we're going down? He's muted, so he might be getting stoned or getting a beer.
I think we're actually going to go up more on oil, on energy total. Actually, I think I think honestly, if they don't, I think there's a chance for us to hit 135 to 150 by Friday on a barrel. Probably closer to 135, but it's wanting to do that. You can see it every day.
They're pushing it. They're pushing the limits, man.
Yeah, man. And then it will reach its limit. And when that's some bit, just when the bottom falls out of it, that's when things happen. Or maybe they coincide together. I don't know, but history's history.
These are other. This is an article that came out April 29th of 2018 on Doyana.bg about the Pentagon bioweapons, stating the U.S. Army regularly produces deadly viruses. These U.S. laboratories are funded by the DTRA under $2.1 billion military program, Cooperative Biological Engagement Program, and are located in the former Soviet Union countries such as Georgia and Ukraine, the Middle East, Southeast, and Africa. See, guys, this has been around for many years. This is not something that's brand new. Putin and others around the world have been complaining about this. Look at how many Pentagon biolaboratories in 25 countries. Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Ukraine, the Philippines, Vietnam, Laos, Thailand, Cambodia, Malaysia. Look at Africa, all over the place. There are sources that believe that Ebola was also government sponsored. I've got some information on that, but I don't have the time to go into it right now. So this article from 4 years ago was talking about these Pentagon labs, in Georgia and Ukraine. And the majority of them, especially the ones in Ukraine, began in 2014 after Biden put a new president and a new prosecutor general in place in Ukraine. The prosecutor general in Ukraine that Biden got fired was investigating Hunter Biden. Drop a like if you didn't know that. This company, CH2M Hill, was awarded $341 million by 2018 under the Pentagon program for biolabs in several countries. Half of that was in Georgia. Another subcontractor got $59 million for research on bioagents. This has been going on for a long time. This is from the 50s through the 60s right here in this specific contractor. The 50s and 60s. The United States has been doing this forever. Battelle has operated a top-secret biodefense analysis and countermeasures center in Fort Derrick, Maryland, under a U.S. Department of Homeland Security contract for over a decade. The company's been awarded a $345 million contract from 2006 to 16 and another $17 million from 15 to 2026. Amongst the secret experiments, assessments of powder dissemination technology, anthrax, assessment of hazard posed by aerosolized toxins, COVID, Ebola, and an assessment of virulence of B. pseudomyeli melioidosis as a function aerosol particle in non-human primates. Has potential to be developed as a biological weapon, classed as a Category B bioterrorism agent. That's disgusting. It's disgusting what's going on around here. Metabiota, remember the one we just talked about in the last video, that is owned in majority by Hunter Biden, was awarded $18 million in federal contracts. Is giving the vice president's son's company millions and millions of dollars and billions of dollars in federal contracts not a conflict of interest? Is that legal? Unfortunately, yes. But is it a conflict of interest or what? Metabiota has labs in Ukraine, as well as all these other countries. Program in Georgia and Ukraine for scientific and technical consulting services. Their services include field-based biological threat research, pathogen discovery, that means creating pathogens, outbreak response, and clinical trials, creating all sorts of things. They've been contracted by the Pentagon to perform work for DTRA before and during the Ebola crisis in West Africa, and were awarded over $3 million for work in Sierra Leone, one of the countries at the epicenter of the Ebola outbreak. There are 3 biolabs in Liberia, Sierra Leone, and New Guinea, where Metabiota, owned by Hunter Biden, has labs. Look at, here's the lab, the hospitals, lab, 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 lab. Unreal. Ebola treatment units. They're all by the labs. Is that a surprise? I don't think so. A July 2014 report drafted by the Viral Hemorrhagic Fever Consortium accused Metabiota of failing to abide by an existing agreement on how to report test results and for bypassing the Sierra Leone scientists working there. So they bypassed the scientists in Sierra Leone to report their test results. What does that mean? Corruption. They were lying. They didn't want the Sierra Leone scientists to see what the realities of the results were. The report also raised the possibility that Metabiota was culturing blood cells at the lab, something the report said was dangerous, as well as misdiagnosing healthy patients. What better way could you possibly test your things than misdiagnosing people in order to make it seem that they need your new product?
It's so full of shit.
My faith in this administration is completely gone. I'm disgusted with them. More so than I've been in a long time. Hillary Clinton's a close second. Biting flies in Dagestan, Russia. Since the start of the Pentagon project in 2014, flies similar to those in Georgia have appeared in neighboring Dagestan, Russia. According to local people, they bite and cause rashes. Their breeding habitats are house drains. Flies from the phlebotomine family carry dangerous parasites in their saliva, which they transmit to humans. In 2003, during the U.S. invasion of Iraq, American soldiers were severely bitten by sandflies and contracted leishmaniasis. Leishmaniasis, whatever the hell that is. The disease is native to Iraq and Afghanistan, and if left untreated, the acute form of it can be fatal. In 1967 U.S. Army report, Arthropods of Medical Importance in Asia and the European USSR lists all local insects, their distribution, and the diseases that they carry. Biting flies, which live in drains, are also listed in the document. Their natural habitats, though, are the Philippines, not Georgia or Russia. These flies could not survive a trip on a ship overseas that takes weeks or in an airplane that freezes over. They had to have been brought or tests performed on them in labs in the area for them to survive the weather or the trip. They wouldn't survive the trip from the Philippines to Georgia or Russia. So this is something that's been going on for a long time. The Pentagon, how to kill 625,000 people for just 29 cents per death cost. U.S. Army report in 1981 compared 2 scenarios: 16 simultaneous attacks on a city by mosquitoes infected with yellow fever, tularemia, and an aerosol attack, and assessed their effectiveness in costs and casualties. Field tests were performed to determine coverage patterns and survivability of the tropical rat flea for use as a disease vector in biological warfare. Operation Big Buzz. Mosquitoes were produced. 1/3 were placed in munitions and dropped from aircraft or dispersed on the ground. The mosquitoes survived the airdrop and actively sought out human blood. So they created 1 million of these mosquitoes. 1/3 of them they placed in munitions, and they dropped them from aircraft, or they dispersed them on the ground. Okay, so I guess they did just fine getting fucking airdropped. That's disgusting.
I mean, what could go wrong?
The mosquitoes were dispersed through ground-based methods in Georgia, USA, during a U.S. operation codenamed Mayday. Wow. In Savannah, Georgia. You gotta be fucking kidding me. This is the government that that some people don't believe had a hand in COVID. Operation Mayday consisted of studies of these mosquitoes, their activity and dispersion in an urban area. Savannah, fucking Georgia, United States of America, from April to November of 1956. They didn't just come up with this yesterday. It's been their fucking playbook for years, for centuries. The tests were designed to give information on the dispersal of it from a ground level point source released in a short period of time. Results were based primarily on mosquito recoveries obtained in dry ice baited traps. In these tests, a small fraction of the total number of mosquitoes. So they didn't all die. A lot of them survived the open air and were able to be spread around the world, including right here. I wonder if Lyme disease might be something that's they had a hand in. Look at in Russia, the current known distribution as of September 2017, they were already released in Russia and in Turkey at the Luger Center, according to these studies. Only in Georgia, southern Russia, and northern Turkey. They were detected for the first time in 2014 after the start of the Pentagon program at the Luger Center. You can tell me that that's a coincidence. You can tell me that we're conspiracy theorists. But Cash, once is a coincidence. Twice, maybe a little more so. But dozens and dozens of times? Does that sound coincidental to you?
I think not.
Remember who's sponsoring this, people? Our very own fucking government. Our Pentagon, the CIA. And they released them right here in the United States. Right here in Savannah, Georgia.
Once is an accident. Twice is a coincidence.
Anthrax.
3 times is a pattern.
A pattern. A disgusting pattern of corporate greed, pharmaceutical companies, medical industries, financiers. In 2007, Georgia ended its policy of having compulsory annual livestock anthrax vaccinations. As a result, the morbidity rate of the disease reached its peak in 2013. The same year, NATO started human-based anthrax vaccine tests at the Luger Center in Georgia. That's fucked up. That's really messed up. Despite the anthrax outbreak, the Georgian government terminated the compulsory vaccination for 7 years. 2013 saw NATO start human trials on new anthrax. Despite the Pentagon's claims that this program is only defensive, there are facts to the contrary. In 2016, the Luger Center American scientists carried out research on the genome sequence of the Soviet-Russian Bacillus anthracis anthrax vaccine strain 55, which was funded by the DTRA from the United States. Again, administered by Metabiota, the U.S. contractor owned by Hunter fucking Biden. "34 people were infected with Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever in Georgia." God damn, poor guy. Only one tick from all of the collected species from the villages tested positive. Despite the claims that the virus was transmitted to humans from animals, all animal blood samples were negative too. Wow. The lack of infected ticks in animals is inexplicable given the sharp increase of CCHF human cases in 2014, meaning the outbreak was not natural and the virus was spread intentionally. 2016, another 21,590 ticks were collected for database future studies of DNA, under the Pentagon project ascending, of the Crimean hemorrhagic fever. Yeah, there's been several hundred cases in Afghanistan, and Afghanistan is one of 25 countries around the world with Pentagon Biolabs on their territory. Out of the 237 cases, 41 of which were in Afghanistan. Kabul had 71 with 13 fatalities, and Iran 67 cases. Beer time. Needed a fresh one. And looks like the Pentagon has been working with bats for a really, really long fucking time as well. It's a goddamn shame. Oh, for those of you wondering, Dr. Metzler and I, Dr. Marco Metzler of DMSA Rating Agency, we've rescheduled for later this week because there are so many developments going on with Russia and Ukraine that we want to be able to discuss it as well. So we're kind of waiting for a little bit later this week so we can get into it. The world MERS outbreak. MERS-CoV is one of the viruses that have been engineered by the U.S. and studied by the Pentagon, as well as influenza and SARS. Confirmation of this practice is Obama's 2014 temporary ban on government funding. But the moratorium was lifted in 2017 and experiments continued. Damn, that's fucked up. Pentagon biolaboratories spread disease in Ukraine. There are 11 Pentagon biolaboratories in Ukraine and around Russia as of 2018 from this article, and I think there are 16 now, if I recall correctly. But there was 11 confirmed in 2018, and a lot of them are in the same places that Russia's been bombing. Yep, Department of Defense funded 11 biolabs. Here's all the information, as a matter of fact. In case you didn't know, donor, the Department of Defense, the fact sheet for the name of the laboratory. Here's another one. United States Defense Threat Reduction Agency. Department of Defense, the United States of America. My little one. She needs to go to bed. So as you can see, the Lviv Research Institute of Epidemiology and Hygiene, Department of Defense, the United States of America. There is a clear conflict of interest and a reason that the administration wants to make Putin out to seem like the bad guy. And they may just be, Putin may have had enough and said that he's going to take over the, former USSR state of Ukraine and make it part of Russia. I can't say I agree. Don't necessarily agree nor disagree. It's just something that's happening. Despite all my rage, I am still just a rat in a cage. That is right, brother. You got that right. Little Smashing Pumpkins. 364 Ukrainians died from swine flu. One of the Pentagon laboratories is located in Kharkiv, where in January 2016, 20 Ukrainian soldiers died from the flu-like virus in just 2 days, and 200 more were hospitalized. 364 deaths as of March 2016 were reported across Ukraine. 81% caused by H1N1, the same strain which caused the world pandemic in 2009. Ukraine and Russia hit by new highly virulent cholera infection. This isn't 3, 4, 5, 6. Guys, I think we're on the 15th one over here that's been fucking destroying the, Europe. Mostly the Russian area and Afghanistan. Does that sound like a coincidence too? In 2011, Ukraine was hit by a cholera outbreak. 33 patients were reportedly hospitalized for diarrhea. Second outbreak struck the country in 2014, where more than 800 people were reported to have contracted the disease. 100 new cases in 2015. Wow. Speaking of Black and Veatch Special Corp, we mentioned them in the video yesterday as well. They were awarded a $200 million DTRA contract to build and operate Biolabs in Ukraine in 2008 and 12, as well as Germany, Azerbaijan, Cameroon, Thailand, Ethiopia, Vietnam, and Armenia. Metabiota received another $18 million federal contract in Georgia and Ukraine. They were we already said this one, actually. Let's leave that subject because we could probably talk about 100 more. So I think we've kind of made our point. I hope that you think of things objectively and look into it a little more deeply than the mainstream CNN and ABC, CNBC are really leaving it. You know, don't take everything at face value. Please. So it looks like Zelensky has filed an application with the European Union. It takes a long time to get into the European Union. I doubt they'll accept him because if they did, they would have to send in troops, and Russia would probably cut them off.
Well, plus he's never sent in the paperwork to define his borders, remember?
Yeah, Ukraine never defined their borders with NATO, right? Or the United Nations. So Ukraine, according to the according to the United Nations, is not technically a country. But of course, you know, Ukraine is technically a country to other people. Okay, so you guys have heard about unemployment, right? And there's something else called underemployment. It's at the lowest level it's been since 2008. Why? Because people that haven't looked for a job in the last 4 weeks on the surveys for unemployment, they're considered not unemployed. They're considered not looking for a job. But people who have other extenuating circumstances, those are called underemployed. Those are not either unemployed and they are not also not looking for a job. There's a separate subsection called underemployed. And that is at its lowest level since 2008. Now, why would the underemployed be at its lowest level since 2008? Probably because the majority of them are quitting their jobs to either find new jobs or to retire. Or to probably, you know, a lot of people are also working the gig economy. We've seen that greatly happening more and more.
Boss, also the futures, U.S. futures just went red.
Oh, shit. Are you surprised?
Not at all.
Me neither. Oh, nice. SpaceX was awarded a $3.5 billion contract. That is fucking killer. Irish Meltdown, thanks a lot, brother. Let me see if you said something. Put a message further down if you had something you wanted to ask. Either way, appreciate you. Let me see what it's at. Now I want to see. Don't worry. Take a look. Putin's goal is to cut off Kiev from the west and surround it, cut off supply lines to cause a surrender or capitulation of the Ukrainian government, according to Marco Rubio. Kiev is surrounded right now. They cannot withdraw their civilians. Kiev is surrounded, unfortunately, by Russia. Ukraine fortifies its entire territory as Russian assault stalls. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that.
Oh, you ready for this one?
Yeah, go for it, bro.
Goldman raises inflation outlook through 11 rate hikes in 2023.
11 through 2023?
Through 2023.
I could see that.
I
I could see that.
retweeted too. Last week it was only 9. So they went up again. What did we start at 3, 4, 5, somewhere around there?
Oh, what the fuck did you post, Sigma? When Johnny 99 realized he didn't actually read the text in the meme. When you realize the hot new girl at work is a dog now that mask mandates have been repealed. You're bogus, dude. I love it. Oh, shit. China Bohai Bank is down 20 to 25% today. Let's see this shit. China Bohai. Holy shit, you can't even see it. I'll move this over. That's pretty bad. It's under $1. You guys seeing this shit? You know what? Maybe I should share my screen. I forgot I'm not even sharing my screen. There we go. Let me know if you got the right one. If you got the wrong screen, let me know.
Ready one.
I smell margin calls coming. Chinese collateral is going to be complete shit.
I think it's the right screen. A bunch of porn.
Yep, that's the one. Is it gay porn? Oh shit, I left it open. Damn it.
It's get police theology.
Wait, is my dildo back there? Is my 2-foot black dildo back there?
Strong like bull.
If you know, you know. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you can think I'm gay. I don't give a shit.
I knew it.
What's its name? Dwayne the Cock Johnson? Fucking Trey. That's fucking nuts, man. Love that guy. I always bust his balls on Twitter. He never replies. I think he doesn't like looking at the comments. Or he just thinks I'm a dick, so he doesn't reply. That's a pretty valid assessment, though. I must say so myself.
Yeah, you see that thing about George Soros right there that you went by?
Yep.
Did you read that?
I think
that tells me right there who we need to be siding with.
Right. I mean, if George Soros is telling you that allowing Putin to succeed will send a message across the world that nations can simply be created or dissolved by brute force, we must stand with Ukraine as they stand for us. Maybe you should think a little bit as to why this guy and these MSM are trying so hard to make Putin seem like the bad guy. Don't forget, I empathize with all of these people. We all do. But when you've got people in the Russian portions of Ukraine, you know, where people speak predominantly Russian or are predominantly Russian, getting shelled and bombed for 8 years, that's not something that could be swept under the bus. That's the reason that Putin called it a genocide. Okay, now it happens in a lot of places. Armenia, you know, like just think. Our genocides happen all over the world. Every country in Africa practically. Lyme disease. Yeah, Abe Lincoln is time cop. Thanks, bro. He says Lyme disease first popped up in Lyme County in Connecticut, which is right next to Plum Island. Oh yeah, I think we've all heard about Plum Island. So let's leave it at that. If you haven't, you should Google it. Or should I say DuckDuckGo it, because Google's going to suppress a lot of information. Yes, Stacey. You know what, man? We should ask AMC Begums where the fuck he's at. We should invite him over here. See what the hell's going on. Get this out of the way. Fucking beach guy. That's great. So this is the current situation we've got over there. Toyota halted all Japanese plants as supplier was hit with a cyber attack. Okay, now let's talk about something briefly here. Who do you think's causing these cyber attacks? I think it's got to be Russia. We've got, if you guys have heard of Expeditors International. Downtime notifications. Expeditors International is one of the largest freight forwarders in the world. They ship freight internationally by boat, by plane, and by truck. They are a third-party logistics company. I have done business with them in the past. They have a lot of freight. They're the largest in America, the number one in America. And as of 2/28, 5:39 p.m., they still say, we're making progress. Our teams continue to work around the clock to deploy robust, immediate, and long-term solutions to restore systems as soon as possible. We are now handling shipments and providing services across most products and expanding recovery across our locations. Okay, we recognize the challenges this incident has created within supply chains. All right, this has been happening since the 20th. For 8 days, they were down and not handling operations. Up until today, they're finally starting to move ocean containers off of steamship lines that are on the coasts. You know, they're finally starting to get their drayage shipments unloaded so that they can get them put on either, you know, trains or other trucks and move them across the country. It's going to be a while. This is going to be a further setback in our economy, in our inflation numbers, and in because supply and demand, we still need the same amount of stuff. The largest freight forwarder in the country, Expeditors International, didn't move a thing for 8 fucking days. That's not going to make inflation better. It's going to make it worse. Bridgestone also had an outage. I'm having some, let's see. I'm not able to find it right now, but I'll look for it in another thread another time. Not really that important. The point is, supply chain disruption are a source of inflation unpredictability. What the fuck did I just tell you? Supply chain disruption, like the Expeditors International hack. And a lot more hacks that we're going to be seeing in the near future. Global energy markets, a source of inflation unpredictability. What could Putin do? How long, if you think if Europe, you know, NATO gets more involved or Europe gets more involved, do you not think that Russia might shut off the taps for oil or the type taps of natural gas to Europe? They supply 40% of Europe's natural gas. How many calls do you think we should take, Silverback, on natural fucking gas, dude, when that shit happens? I'm gonna buy a lot of call options if that shit happens. I hope it doesn't, but. John Vega says GME is the only way. That's pretty ignorant. It shows you don't know much about what's really happening.
It really stupid.
Yeah. I mean, if you could afford it, I'd call the shit out of oil at some point. But right now, the calls right now, I think you put them after it hits an apex and starts to do any retracement. You know.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, brother.
I mean, I mean, some people on the fringes are saying that it could hit 200 a barrel. I don't know if I agree with that. I know I'm pretty confident that I think we'll see 150.
Well, that I'm sure about. Well, not I'm sure, but that I also think will be the case.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the Board of the Governors of the Federal Reserve System. The Federal Reserve Central Bank assets and liabilities of commercial banks in the United States. I haven't done this in a little while. This is always fucking fun. Hey, thanks, Irish Meltdown. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you very much. Sorry you feel that way, brother. They just try to keep it clean, man. Let Irish Meltdown chill, though. He's cool. Irish Meltdown's good in my book. Thanks a lot, brother. But yeah, I love using Rumble and YouTube. I think Rumble's a good platform. I like it. Let's go to Table 2, Assets and Liabilities of the Commercial Banks of the United States. These are represented in billions of dollars. So realistically, you've got to take these numbers and multiply them by a billion. All right, so let's take a look and see how these banks are doing. They had 20, in January of 2021, they had 20,597 times 1 billion. So that's $20,597 billion in assets. Now they've got 22,594. They had 18,653 in liabilities. In 2021, and that increased to, let me just move this over so everybody can see. If you want to follow along on the screen, you can. You don't have to. I am saying it all out loud. The total liabilities of these banks on this table 2, out of the, I think, over 11 tables expressed here in the billions of dollars. Let's go back to the calculator. It was $20 trillion. So we had an increase of $2 trillion in their assets. And we had an increase of $2 trillion in their liabilities. These banks made no money. Not to mention, see this? Other liabilities, including trading liabilities. I'm going to show you something that's going to blow your fucking mind if you haven't seen this before. Pay attention. Somebody clip this for me, if you will, and tag me in it if you can put it on Twitter. These banks have increased their assets by $2 trillion, and they've also increased their liabilities by $2 trillion. So what is in these other liabilities, including trading liabilities here? Let's take a quick look. Subsection 22 states that it includes get this, subordinate notes, debentures, net deferred tax liabilities, interest payments for short positions, other expenses accrued and unpaid, accounts payable, liabilities for short positions, AMC, GameStop, get it? BBIG, Progenity, Cost, MMAT, Sundial, Express, BBBY. Okay, how many can we name? OCGN. We can just keep fucking going all day with the numbers of meme stocks. Derivative contracts with a negative fair value. A negative fair value means that both sides of the trade would lose money. Both sides. As determined under their interpretation. So guess what? They're making the definition. Other trading liabilities to which fair value accounting has been applied. What do you think this means? They used fair value accounting, but they have not really considered the actual cost of those short positions when they're being bought back during massive FOMO, gamma squeezes, and all sorts of, short squeezing and covering. They did not apply that in their fair value accounting calculations. And get this, quote unquote, other liabilities. What's an other liability? Synthetic shorts, synthetic shares, naked shorts. Shorts marked as long. A short position is actually a liability that they marked as an asset. That happens all the fucking time with these crooks. And guess what they get? Slap on the wrist. Slap on the wrist. All sorts of things are not being represented on their books. And when you see that they're making just as much as they're losing and increasing their assets just as much as their liabilities, they're not really making as much money as they say. And they're going to lose a lot more on these short positions on stocks that have been heavily shorted. A lot more. These aren't small numbers. They're massive, in the trillions. Same thing, look, there are multiple tables. Here's table 3, and the same thing applies. They have increased here maybe 20 billion at best. Again, that does not include shorts marked as long, naked shorts, synthetic shares, married puts, divorced puts, failures to deliver. It does not include failures to deliver that have not yet been returned. Again, total assets increased by 1.4 trillion, 1.5 trillion, and their residual assets minus liabilities went up by a lot fucking less. They actually lost money. Their residual assets, the residual assets went up by about 25 billion, and their total assets went up by about 1.5 billion. Nope, it's 150 billion. So they made a few billion here off of massive amounts of derivatives. But again, at the same time, you got to remember what it does not include. And when you look at these things and you realize that net deferred tax liabilities, liabilities for short positions, and all of these are accounted which using other trading liabilities to which fair value accounting has been applied, it gives you a clear indication that they're lying about the true value of their liabilities and their short positions. That sounds great to me, because I'm taking the opposite side of the trade as these pricks. Because I'm long on movies and I'm long on video games, and I fucking love it.
We're gonna be so goddamn rich.
Yep. That's for sure. Let's take a look at the yield curve. The 10-year and the 2-year. Every time this goes negative, it's an inverted yield curve. And when the yield curve inverts, it signals recession. And that's what happened here in August of 2019. And that's why in September 17th of 2019, the reverse repurchase facility basically was created by the Federal Reserve in order to bail out these banks when the overnight interest rate, or the overnight borrow rate for the RRP went all the way up to 11% in one day. It became unsustainable and would have been a market crash by the next day. The Federal Reserve needed a reason, and they used COVID, as well as other things, as their reason to print 40% of all money in existence in the last 18 months. And that caused this. It caused the yield curve to separate, treasuries to be worth just a little bit more, and that's all disappearing even before they have finished tapering and even before they've started to raise rates. The Federal Reserve hasn't raised interest rates at all yet. And this is at a 0.39. So there's only a 0.39% difference between the yield, the cost to borrow a 2-year versus a 10-year treasury. That's huge. That's huge. Why would you buy a 10-year treasury with a shit return while you get a 2-year for cheaper? That's what happens when they invert. So that's a clear signal of a recession. And it's not on a downward trend here because, you know, our economy's doing great or anything. It's because Americans' personal savings is down and we don't have any fucking money left. So all of our money is going towards, you know, spending bills and things for the majority of people, not for everybody. So, you know, hopefully you're blessed and you don't have that issue. But unfortunately, that's not the case for many. This is back in February of 2020 here. When the QE began, you see it took off and we hit a top. We hit a top when QE was over, and it's just a straight, it's collapsing a lot more quickly than the build up in about almost half the time, about a third of the time, really. Let's take a look back. Take a look back at 2007. Right, it happened in 2006, 2007, end of May of 2007 even. It happened back in 2000, April of 2000, May, June, July, August, September, October. And here we go. Does this look similar? Look at this shit. Look at the way that this just collapses here in the 90s here. But this time we don't have the same economic policies and power and strength that we did at the time. Interest rates are at almost nothing right now, and at the time they were much higher. They were able to be reduced to cause this after the dot-com crash, and this, you know, here after 08. Let's take a look at the Case-Shiller PE ratio. Especially real estate. It's going to be disgusting. S&P CoreLogic Case-Shiller home price. This is the leading measure of residential home prices, tracking changes in the value of residential real estate. Up 1% for the month for the top 20 cities. Same thing for the top 10 cities. And nationally, it's about 0.92%. Like, that's pretty shit. The prices of rent and mortgages continues to increase, further pricing more people out of the market. Let's take a look at the Shiller PE ratio over here. And again, this higher is worse. The higher this is, the worse this is. Okay, we had 2008, we were here. This is the overvaluation of the stock market accounting for inflation. Not necessarily the overvaluation, the P&E, price to earnings ratio based on average accounting for inflation. Back in 08, it was around 25 to 26. Back in 2000, it was the only time it was higher than it is now, and it was around 44. Right now, it's already started to turn downwards. Look at what happened here when it turned down in 2000. It kind of collapsed a little bit, had a little bit of a hiccup, and then just plummeted. We're at the same thing right now. We went all the way up to 36 and change. It's come down to 35.80, and it's going to plummet because moratoriums for real estate is over. Okay, people need to continue paying their mortgages even if their tenants are not paying them their rent. A lot of people are out of a job. it is kind of tough for many people right now. And even though home sales are pretty strong in many places still, particularly the warmer areas of the country, there are many pockets and bubbles throughout the country and the world for real estate. So it's not a good sign for real estate at all right now. I've seen it before. I remember what happened after '08. I was in real estate. I was a broker agent at the time, and it was really, really tough for people, for tenants, and for agents, you know, and the entire economy as well. It's the S&P 500 PE ratio. This was 2008, and this is now. The difference now, unfortunately, is back in 2008, we had a limited number. That makes this even worse than it was back then, is the liabilities. The bank liabilities and trading derivatives are out of control. What we had in 2008 was about $90 trillion in derivatives on the markets. And what we have now is 423 trillion. It has more than increased by more than 4.5 times. So this is the quarterly bank trading and derivatives activities report.
Yeah, that we know of.
That we know of. Because all the fucking numbers are cooked, right? When the shorts are marked as long and the short positions are hidden in the options chain, it doesn't show up on their books. When the failures to deliver are hidden, stashed around ETFs around the world in shadow banking sector, it's not shown on the banks in America. It is not shown in their liabilities. Third quarter trading revenue was $1.3 billion less than the previous quarter, 15% less. The OCC, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, noted that trading revenue in the third quarter 2021 decreased by 1.2% compared to the third quarter of 2020. 4 banks hold 89% of the total banking industry notional amount of derivatives out of 1,357. 4 banks own 89% of the debt, and they don't own 89% of the assets. They only own 89% of the notional derivatives and the debt as a byproduct. Get this. You know, we push lit markets a lot. The percentage of centrally cleared derivative transactions decreased quarter over quarter to 39%. Centrally cleared means lit exchanges. So it is down even more so. They are spending more and more in dark pools every fucking day, to the point where 61% of all trades on the markets through these banks, through the American banks, are going through dark pools. And even more so, actually, if you really think about it. Let's go to centrally cleared derivatives right off the bat, just so you can see what I'm talking about. You think it's bad? It's worse than you think. Credit default swaps, $33 trillion. Centrally cleared derivative contracts. FX, centrally cleared. Forex, the US dollar, the fiats, all of them. 98% of it, 99% of it is going to dark pools. the price is being manipulated on currency, on fiat. Centrally cleared means through a lit market where the price discovery is allowed. The price discovery is true. Precious metals. Precious metals are severely shorted. Severely shorted. It's not just AMC or GameStop. To the ignorant people that are elitists that don't realize that it's not just one stock. It's not just stocks. It's ETFs. It's precious metals, Forex, all sorts of products that have been heavily shorted. Commodities mostly, like gold and silver. So when they're trading 97% of all the precious metals directly through dark pools, it's to manipulate the price and keep it where they want it to be. That is absolutely fucking disgusting. It should disgust you.
Super bubble.
It's the biggest bubble anybody has ever witnessed. Not even fucking exaggerating. This table is expressed in millions of dollars. That means you need to multiply 52 million times a million. Right, so let's take easy. You know what, let's start off with our favorite scumbags, Goldman Sachs. Or should I start off with, yeah, let's start off with Goldman Sachs. Fucking bunch of crooks. They have 128 times a million. 48,333,128,000,000 in derivatives for Goldman Sachs. And then you go up to their, you got to go down now to their, let me see if that was the bank right there. I'm zoomed in, so it's kind of tough to scroll. That was the bank itself. Let's get Goldman Sachs holding companies. See, this says top 25 holding companies right here. This got a different legal identifier. Here's another 41.65. 41.65 trillion that we have to add up. That's $90 trillion in derivatives that Goldman Sachs has in the between the shadow banking sector and the United States. Okay, see the legal identifier is different, and it says banks up here, and down there it says holding companies. That means offshore. They're not regulated by Gary Gensler and the SEC. The holding companies are regulated by Rostin Beanham, the crook that works now as the head of the CFTC. Formerly used to work with a guy that is now at Citadel Securities. The former head of the CFTC is now the head of Citadel Securities, I believe, legal team, if I recall correctly. We did that many months ago, so it's tough to remember. You can actually add up now here this pathetic amounts of assets that they have, 387 billion here, and then go down to their holding companies and add up their assets here. They're the third one. I'll scroll over just so you can see I'm not lying. Let's see what we got. One, two, three. No, that's actually not correct here. Hold on.
damn corrupt.
Without question. 1.4 trillion. $388 billion plus 1.4 trillion, basically. I actually did that wrong, but that's okay. Because I've got it right there. $1.821 trillion. So Goldman Sachs has $1.8 trillion in assets, yet is managing $89 trillion. No, I'm sorry, let's just say 90. $1.8 trillion in assets to manage $90 trillion in derivatives. Does that sound like over-leveraging, corruption, and crime? I would say it does.
Sounds like a Biden family reunion.
You can do the same thing for Bank of America, Morgan Stanley, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan, and see that they're all ridiculously over-leveraged. The numbers are added up at the bottom. $242 trillion in for the holding companies, for the top 25 only, in derivatives. But they've only got 18.7 trillion in total assets. It's out of control. And then for the banks, they've got 184 trillion in liabilities and $21 trillion in assets. Guys, the numbers don't add up, do they? That's why they're scared of this everything squeeze. Everything is gonna fucking squeeze. Precious metals, meme stocks, fucking zombie stocks like Sears that you guys have seen, you know, and Blockbuster. They run for a reason. The derivatives did not go down much after 2008. They didn't decrease that much in value. They just moved them overseas and they repackaged them. It's really quite simple. Look at the total notional value just in the top four banks, $186 trillion. 186 trillion. So what you got something is a situation that the netting benefits of bilateral netting, that is trading things amongst themselves, is decreasing. So they're losing the benefits that they had from a factor of almost 91% down to a factor of under 79%. It's not even on this chart anymore. Over the last 10 years, because the rehypothecations are so insane that the actual netting benefit is losing its ability to help them cook the books. Simple. And maybe I'm oversimplifying it, but I think I do that on purpose in order to try to help you understand what's really happening here, because we can get into the real details and it would just kind of seem like I was like talking gibberish at you, and that's the last thing that I would like to do, you know. What do you think's going on with the digital dollar, Cash Money?
Oh, a bunch of
A bunch of what?
fuckery.
You think we're going to see a digital dollar?
Oh, at some point.
At some point? I think it's going to come sooner rather than later. This is the precious metal contracts. Why are precious metal contracts increasing so much? interest rate and FX and gold contracts by maturity has increased many, many times over since 2001. And you can see them now. They're practically at all-time highs in 2021 over here, especially for FX and gold. FX and gold are being artificially suppressed. That's why there's so many contracts against them. Bank of America is borrowing how much silver from JP Morgan, bro?
Yeah, they're leasing an obscene amount, 900 million ounces.
Almost 1 billion ounces of silver. And on top of that, they're further shorting the market on, on the contracts, on the COMEX, aren't they?
Yep, it's madness.
So again, you can go to the COMEX and search for yourself through CBOE, Chicago Board of Options Exchange. Or no, I'm sorry, CME Group. My apologies. CME Group. And you can look up gold and silver COMEX for yourself and see how much of these banks are actually buying and how much are they shorting. Here you go, precious metal contracts by maturity. Look at the billions back in 2003, nothing. And just 04, 5, 6, 10, 2012, 2018, 19, 20, 21. Why do you think the contracts are this high? Because they're working harder than ever to suppress the price of these. Meanwhile, they load up on these fucking things. After meme stocks run, they're going to need to get collateral from somewhere, I think. It's probably going to come from a crypto coin based off of precious metals like gold and silver. A digital dollar of sorts. And JP Morgan is holding a fuckload of silver. The notional amounts of commodity and equity contracts by maturity. It was nothing in 2001. Again, and again, look, equity contracts and commodity contracts. More suppression. These derivatives are going to blow up in their fucking face. You want exact numbers? Look at the total percentage of centrally cleared as a percentage of total notional value. Almost nothing by these guys. Over the counter. That means dark pool. Over the counter, dark pool. ATS, alternative trading system. Dark pool. Period. See that? 100 fucking percent. 82% dark pool. 92% of all their fucking trades for these banks. And who are they? Our best friends. JP Morgan, Citibank, Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, HSBC, Wells Fargo, and Morgan fucking Stanley. Interest rate products, 0% centrally cleared, 100%, 100% dark pool for Morgan Stanley, 79% for Goldman Sachs and HSBC. You know, that's fucking crazy. But get this, foreign exchange. You think the fiat's not artificially manipulated? 100% of the foreign exchange traded for Wells Fargo and Morgan Stanley is through over-the-counter alternative trading systems and dark pools. 98% of it for JP Morgan, Citibank, Bank of America, Goldman Sachs, and HSBC. If you didn't know this, please subscribe. If you did, I'll settle for a like. Thanks. Check this out. Same fucking players. Equity contracts. Guess what equity contracts means? Things like AMC, GameStop, Progenity, DWAC, MMAT, Sundial, all your favorite meme stocks. 100% over the counter, 100% dark pool, 73%, 94, 75, 96%. Fuck me, man. What the fuck is this bullshit? Look at this precious metals shit. 100% of precious metals over the counter. You gonna tell me it's not being suppressed?
It's called collusion and fraud.
Collusion and fraud. Plain and simple. Couldn't be more right, brother. It gets me pissed to talk about this shit. You know, that's why I don't do more fucking YouTube videos. Because, one, I only do YouTube videos when I think there's something to talk about. And, you know, Cash and I thought that there was some fun shit to talk about tonight. And two, it's actually really aggravating looking at these numbers and realizing that they're fucking retail all around. That's why I like the idea of the company that we're working on right now, Xchange, and I think that's going to be out by December 2022. We are working with all sorts of different people right now to get that to come to fruition. And God, we've made some great progress. I just can't share much yet, other than the fucking GUI, the graphical interface, is beautiful so far. Investment grade, 100% over the counter, 100% over the counter of investment grade shit. All your best bonds and best stocks, almost entirely through dark pools. Not an investment grade.
Relax and be more mellow like me.
Yeah, right. The least mellow fucking guy I know. All right, yeah, let's zoom out on this shit. Look at the 60-day value at risk average. You know, the same value at risk we had back in the third quarter of 2019 is the same thing we're going to see here. This chart, when the next fourth quarter of 2021 report comes out, we're going to see this spike up here. And then for this first quarter, if we get that far before a market crash, it'll spike up even further. Or, I mean, if the market crashes, then it'll just spike up really fucking high. And not if, I should just say when. Again, this is always a 49-page report. You can find it on the occ.treas.gov website. I'll show it for you right here. It's from the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. And it's called the Bank Derivatives and Liabilities Quarterly Derivatives Report. I think it is phenomenal. You know what? Let's go to BIA. I'm on a fucking roll. I'm not even tired, so let's go to the Bureau of Economic Analysis, if anybody cares. Emilio says after an 8-ball, who'd be mellowed out? No, I mean, I'm just drinking and smoking, having a great night. I don't do that shit. Shit's bad for you. Gross domestic product, personal income. Personal income. Check this out. How much has personal income increased? January 22, 0.0%. Guys, this is an official website of the United States government, the Bureau of the Economic Analysis. Does it look like our economy is getting better? Does it look like wage increases are coming down and being reflected in our personal income? Absolutely not, because it's proven right here from this Bureau of Economic Analysis, January 2022, personal income increased by 0.0%. GDP went up 7% though because of COVID spending. Great job, federal government, quantitative easing, giving our bailouts to the banks. International trade in goods and services is down $80 billion because the United States, Biden, implemented vaccine mandates 2 times, even though they were repealed by the United States Supreme Court. 2 times they were repealed, and 2 times he re-implemented them illegally. One through the CDC, that was illegal, and it was repealed by the Supreme Court. And then again, Biden implemented the next vaccine mandate through, somebody remind me here, but I think it was another government entity that did not have the authorization to do that, and it was repealed again. But he implemented it anyway. So, actually no, it was
OSHA.
OSHA. Yeah, OSHA. Thank you very much. OSHA is about workplace safety, hard hats, and stepping over electrical cords. They cannot dictate vaccine mandates. International trade in goods and services because of these vaccine mandates is down because there are less people working in supply chain, less people working in general because they quit their job. Not everybody, but a lot of people quit their job. 4 million people per month from in 2021 for like 8 months straight quit their fucking job. A lot of them because they didn't want to deal with the vaccine. So what does that cause? That causes less imports. And what does imports do? It reduces international trade goods and services, and it increases our GDP because imports reduce our GDP. So our GDP looks better of it because to the Biden administration and the general public because we had less imports because of supply chain issues that were caused by employment and worker issues that were caused by COVID-19 and their mandates. It's not coincidence. This isn't correlations. These are direct causations. And it's a goddamn shame, I think. It's a really fucking shame. GDP change in 2020. Why was it so high? Almost 33%. Because the government printed 40% of all the money ever printed in the last 18 months. Simple as that. Personal income and outlays. Get this, guys. You guys want to see this shit? Personal income increased less than 0.1%, 0% in January. So personal income did not fucking increase. We are not getting higher wages. People are not going back to work and making more money. Disposable and personal income increased 0.1%. That's nothing. And personal consumption expenditures increased 2.1%. So your income didn't increase at all. But your expenses, personal consumption, increased $337 billion, 2.1%. Does it look like our economy's getting better? Does it look like our stock market's going to get better? Real DPI decreased 0.5% in January, and real PCE, personal consumption expenditures, increased 1.5%. Goods increased 4.3%, and services 0.1%, almost nothing. And the PCE price index increased 0.6%. And they exclude food and energy in these calculations to make this lower. Because if they include food and energy, it would be much, much higher. January 2022, PCE's at 6.1%. All right. The estimate for January personal income and outlays reflected the continued economic recovery and government response. Personal income and outlays reflected the continued stimulus from the government, is what this is saying. In January, COVID-19 cases resulted in continued restrictions and disruptions in the operations of establishments in some part of the country. Government social benefits decreased, primarily reflecting the end of advanced child tax credit payments authorized to be paid through December. Keep in mind, this child tax credit is just loaning you money that you were going to get back on your taxes come this tax season. You're just going to have to get less or you're going to pay more. The full economic effects of COVID-19 cannot be quantified in the personal income and outlays because the impacts are generally embedded in source data and cannot be separately identified. But they reflected an increase in compensation offset by a decrease in government social benefits. But the compensation is not enough to account for the increase in inflation, plain and simple. Because it says here, the PCE, personal consumption expenses, our expenses increased much, much more than the tiny increase in wages. Personal outlays increased $342 billion. Personal savings was $1.7 trillion in January, and the personal savings rate was 6.4%. $1.17 trillion in January. This was $4 trillion in January of 2021. $4 trillion from January of 2021 to $1.17 trillion in January. That's Americans' personal savings. Americans have lost $3 out of $4 trillion of their personal savings in 1 fucking year. Peace and wealth, everybody. Thanks for the support. Appreciate you. How rich? Goddamn right. Can you say we're gonna be rich?
I'm gonna be rich.
Damn right.